It is Tuesday, Asara B'Tevis, Tavshin Ayin Tes. We are in Teres Menachem Sefer HaMamorim Tavshin Yud Gimel, the Mamar of Shabbos Pasha Shlach, Vayihiyu Bnei Yisroel Bamidbar. We are on page Kuf Pei. At the top, the first line by the comma, the Bechsodim. The Rebbe here is explaining that just like in Avodas Ha'odam, in man's service of Hashem, there is a limited way of serving Hashem and an unlimited way of serving Hashem. So too it is in the Sfiris, in the divine attributes above, that you have these two modes, limited and unlimited. And it's because of that it manifests itself in man's service of Hashem in the same way, a limited way of serving Hashem and an unlimited way of serving Hashem. And just like in Avodas Adam, man's service of Hashem, to utilize just the limited mode is not sufficient because of the potential problems that can arise from that, and therefore one needs also the unlimited way of serving Hashem. So too in the Sfiris, in the divine attributes, it's necessary that in addition to the limited aspect, there should always be that unlimited aspect, so that there should not be the Yinikel HaChetzonim, seepage to the exteriors, meaning to say, channeling some energy to Klippa, to Sitra Achra, to the other side of Kedusha, or any potential for that. And just like in Avodas Ha'odam, man's service of Hashem, the Rebbe explained this concept in all levels, starting from the lowest Maisa, action, all the way to the love of Hashem known as Ru'usu de Liba, the desire of the heart, which emanates from the essence of the soul. So too in Sfiris, in the divine attributes, the Rebbe is explaining these two aspects in all the levels, and he started with Malchus, which we learned about in the previous Shiur on Sunday. And now the Rebbe moves on. Of course, we're talking about Malchus in the Sfiris. The Rebbe speaks about Malchus of Atzilus and it goes in ascending order. So we learned about Malchus on Sunday. Now the Rebbe moves on to Zoh, the Eir Ampin, which is a reference to the 6 Midas of Atzilus, mainly Chesed, because as explained, Chesed is the main Sphira, the main attribute, divine attribute of the Midas, of the emotional divine attributes. So the Rebbe started explaining, you know what, let's start from Kuf Ayin Tes, the second line to the bottom of the full stop. So too it is also concerning Zeir Ampin. Literal translation of Zeir Ampin means the little face. It means to say that the divine Spheris attributes of Atzilus are called Zoh, Zeir Ampin, the little face, meaning the little partsuf, the little structure, because the big structure, Arich Ampin, is in Keser, which is beyond the 10 divine attributes. It's the transcendent divine energy. So too it is concerning Zeir Ampin, the Midas of Atzilus, the divine attributes, emotional divine attributes of Atzilus. For although the divine attributes of Atzilus, the Midas of Atzilus, are mostly Chasadim, as it says in the verse Zochar Chaste, he remembered his kindness. And as explained in the previous Shiur, Zochar Chaste, when Chassidus brings this verse, it brings it as a proof that Chesed is the idea of Zochar, male, which is the Mashpia, the giver, right? Because Zochar, even though it means to remember, but it's still the same letters as Zochar, male. So therefore, since it's mostly Chesed, meaning to say that it's mostly Hashpah, mostly giving, in Zoh, in Zeir Ampin, as explained in the previous Shiur, that Chesed is a attribute that joins each of the Spheres. Yom Ha'Ozl Kol Yomim, the Zohar says. It's a day that goes with each day. As mentioned in the previous Shiur, that concerning in the Aseret Adibris, in the 10 Commandments, concerning Shabbos, it says Ki Sheishes Yomim Osa Hashem Es Hashemayim Ves Ha'oretz, which means that Hashem created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day He rested. That's why we have to keep Shabbos, because Hashem rested on Shabbos. But grammatically, it really should have said, Ki b'sheishes yomim asa Hashem es hashamayim v'zoretz. That Hashem created the world in 6 days. Sheishes yomim asa Hashem es hashamayim v'zoretz could be translated, and is translated in Kabbalah and in Chassidus, that the 6 days created the heavens and the earth. What does that mean? Hashem created the world using the spheres, the divine attributes, and each day of the week there was another divine attribute that was prevalent, as a result of which the creatures that were created on that given day were created, because they have similarities and they emanate from the divine attribute that was prevalent on that day. So on Sunday was Chesed, on Monday was Gvura, and so on and so forth. However, the Zohar says, despite the fact that each one of the days is a separate attribute, Chesed joins each one. Chesed is Yoima the Ozlim Kula Yomin. It's a day that joins each of the days. It's a midah, it's a sfira, it's an attribute that joins each of the attributes. Because Chesed is the hashpah, is the giver, is the flow. And then it's regulated and tuned in accordance with the sfira that's prevalent on that day. So on Monday it would be Gvura, Tuesday Tiferes, and so on and so forth. But on each of the days, Chesed was there as well. So therefore, since it's mostly Chesed, and as the Rebbe will explain in a moment, the midos don't allow, Chsodim don't allow any seepage to the Chitzanim, to the outside, when, I'll say it first orally and then we'll go inside, there is a concept known as Chsodim HaMechusim and Chsodim HaMegulim. Revealed Chsodim, the revealed attribute of Chesed, and then there is the covered attribute of Chesed. Not to be mistaken with Chsodim HaNistarim, hidden kindnesses, hidden Chesed. Hidden Chesed emanates from, is rooted in Keser, in the transcendent divine energy, which is even beyond Chabad, beyond the 10 divine attributes. Chsodim HaMechusim is already in Atzilus, it's already an emotion, follows, it's already born, so to speak, but it is covered. What does that mean? In the Hishtalshalus, in the way midos, the midos of Atzilus, in the world of emanation come into being, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, Chabad, Chochmah and Bina are considered the father and the mother, Av v'Eim, and they give birth to the midos, to the emotions or the emotional divine attributes of Chesed and Gvura and so on and so forth. So it's the intellect that gives birth to the emotion. But there is the emotion as it is already born. So what's dominant and what's obvious is the actual emotion. But there is the emotion as it is born. It's already an emotion, but it's still wrapped and protected and overwhelmed by the intellect. What is the difference? When the emotion is still wrapped in the intellect, in the intellectual idea, or in the moichin, the focus is on the concept, on that which you're contemplating in your mind. So, for example, if a person thinks about the greatness of Hashem and the kindness that Hashem bestows on the person, so there is the emotion where the person is excited by that and fired with a love for Hashem, where the focus would be on his love, on his or her feeling of love to Hashem. So the focus is on the individual, on the me, on the I. When it's wrapped in the intellectual idea, the focus is on Hashem. Says the Rebbe that in revealed Chsodim, when the Chsodim are already revealed, emotions are already revealed, over there is already potential for a seepage to something which is the opposite of Kedusha, because the focus is on the I. Whereas when the emotion is still wrapped in the intellectual idea, in the moichin, it is protected by the fact that the focus is on something higher, on Hashem. And therefore there is no possibility for any seepage, any yinika lachetzonim. Says the Rebbe. So, how do you do it is known. Sheyesh chsodim, top of page kuf. Hamegulim, there are revealed chsodim, revealed emotions, revealed chesed. V'chsodim hamechusim, and covered chsodim. The b'chsodim hamechusim, when we speak about covered chesed, when it's still wrapped in the intellectual idea and the meichin, it's not possible for there to be a seepage to those that are exterior, those that oppose kedusha. This is not the case when we talk about revealed chesadim. When it's already a standalone chesed, they're already removed from the meichin, from the intellect. There could be some seepage to the exteriors, meaning to the side that opposes kedusha. As the verse states in Mishlei, the fool does not desire understanding, but rather the fool desires the revelation of his heart. What does that mean? That when it is still in tvuna, in the intellect, in the understanding, you can't be a fool. A fool wants the revelation of his heart, wants the emotion itself. The tvuna, oisius ben ubas. The word tvuna, within the word tvuna, you find the letters ben ubas, son and daughter. What is son and daughter? Tvuna. Shehu ava v'yira mechusim. Is it tvuna? Tvuna means understanding. But it also has the letters, so understanding is the intellect. But it also has the letters ben ubas, son and daughter, which is already denotes what? The emotion. Ava v'yira, chesed and gvura. But tvuna is the idea of ava v'yira mechusim b'meichin. It's still the idea of the love and fear of Hashem as it is covered by the intellect. So in that instance, at the level of Tvuna, there cannot be a Yenikal Chatzonim, the opposite of Kedusha cannot draw from there. The Af She'enon Meichin Ki Midas, for although they are not intellect, we're talking about Midas, we're talking about an emotional. Shelachein lenikra b'shem bina. This is the difference. When you refer to the intellect as bina, it's strictly what? It's strictly intellect. Tvuna already denotes what? Ava v'yira, the emotion. But the emotion as it's wrapped up in the intellect. Continue, Mr.